Everyone. Now, welcome back to the Ask Me Anything Sunday night session. This is where I answer your questions about Facebook advertising and digital marketing every Sunday night on my YouTube channel and my Facebook group. And now I'm going to repurpose it into my podcast as well. So basically, what we're going to do here is, I actually sometimes I receive a lot of questions, sometimes I don't. However, this is where I get questions from you that were posted on my YouTube channel, my Facebook group, and even some of you drop me some, like private message. Now, I want to quickly just share with you how I work around this kind of like request to answer questions. I do not reply to your comment directly, and I will also not reply to your message directly, not because I am cocky. It's because I think when it comes to Facebook advertising and digital marketing related questions, it is very difficult to be communicated very effectively via written message. So the reason why I do this AMA is because really a lot of questions can only be addressed via at least vocal, as I would tell you my point of view when it comes to what I look at. How do I look at your situation, or how my I solve or so-called tackle your challenges that you're facing right now. So the whole idea here is we just have to make sure that you know it's kind of like really being communicated correctly. And I don't want you to hate me because like Jason Gan don't really answer my questions. I do actually. So if you ask questions on my YouTube channel or my Facebook group, or you actually drop me a message privately, join me every Sunday night via my AMA on my YouTube channel. This is where I answer your questions. Now I just gotta bring this up. For your information, for those who participated, I'm not sure whether did you join me yesterday. I actually did my first quarterly update on Facebook advertising trends and updates. It was really like I would call this a social gathering or a Zoom gathering where we come online via Zoom, and I will share with you from my perspective what have I learned. As in, like probably I will also share with you what are the updates when it comes to on Facebook advertising. Anything that I observe could be quite significant or impactful to the industry, and that's where you can get some insights. And also, you're also invited or allowed to share anything that you find. It's more like, because really that's something that I wanted to do for the longest time, to build a community that can help each other to grow. So if you missed the session last night, I would strongly recommend that you head over to my podcast. I have uploaded the replay on my podcast. Okay, so you want to go over to your Apple Podcast or your Spotify and look for Small Biz Marketing, and basically it's already uploaded on the podcast itself. It's just an hour, slightly over an hour. It's just nice for you to consume the information that are critical. And of course, in the session itself, we digress a little bit. We discuss something a little bit more, but it's really useful sharing. And I really love the engagement coming from you guys as well. So if you were there, thank you for joining me. If you're not, maybe you can consider joining me next round. The plan is to do it on quarterly basis, but I don't rule out the possibility of doing this on a monthly basis. But let's see how it goes as we move along, because we have quite a number of plans coming up, things that we want to do just to make sure that we are able to cater to all the possible things that can really help the community grow. But nonetheless, if you have any specific questions, remember to come back to the AMA. You can actually join me live like this to ask questions, or you can just post your questions anywhere, even via my podcast right now. You can actually ask your questions there as well, and I'll be answering them over here. So from our discussion yesterday, in fact, there are a few things that we kind of discussed, but one thing is definitely the fragmentation of the platforms, as in TikTok is definitely going to be a very strong contender to really steal a lot of people from Facebook and Instagram. But nonetheless, we also want to look at how we can actually tackle the platform as well. Like, for example, if you look at like TikTok, right? The information that I receive here is TikTok has a TikTok store right now, shop, which in fact, they are a lot more in depth compared to Facebook shop and Instagram shop. They even allow you to really like go deep and like even to go through the payment process and even to do the shipping and all that. So it's really like a real social commerce store already. The thing that we learn here is if you are selling something that can be really like bought impulsively, then I do believe that TikTok can be a very useful place right now. But we do not know how it will evolve right now. But we also believe in order to make your content sell, you need to create content that is uplifting. Because one thing that separates TikTok from Facebook, according to the resources that I kind of like referred to, a lot of people like TikTok because they find the content there uplifting and brings joy. However, on the other side, right, I was told that in a way, Facebook kind of promote so-called content that may really like get people to really get how do we call that, kind of like emotional on that kind of stuff. I was told that content that gets a lot of angry face emoji will get promoted on the platform. So it's in a way they are promoting hate, which because they believe this kind of content will get a lot more debate and engagement. That's why. But then again, I believe you and I can relate that Facebook is really getting very noisy in a way. So I think people will be moving over, but I'm not saying that people would completely leave Facebook. However, on the other side, you will also see Facebook advertising evolving as well. So basically, that's something that we want to discuss because I actually brought up a few topics that could be quite useful for our discussion tonight, on top of some questions that we got them from you. But then again, moving forward, when it comes to Facebook advertising, I think the content strategy has to be slightly different moving forward. So before we go through some of them, I would probably want to look at some questions coming up from Casey. Casey Song, okay, thanks for asking the question. So, will Facebook AdX affect campaign objective moving forward? Or you were saying, will Facebook ODX affect campaign objective moving forward? I'm sorry, but I don't understand what is a ODX. I mean, whichever you are referring to, can you give me the full sentence of this thing that you are, or do you mean, will Facebook ads affect campaign objective moving forward? Can you please elaborate? Casey, that would be helpful. But while we are waiting for Casey to come back, I really want to really discuss a topic over here, a few topics that I kind of like accepted from our discussion yesterday, which there are some debates when it comes to copywriting and design, because I do believe that a lot of people still kind of struggle when it comes to content and design and copywriting. So I just want to quickly share a bit on my personal opinion. Okay, now when it comes to long copy or short copy for Facebook advertising, this is kind of like an ever green debate that is happening around. There will be different school of thought. There would be some people who prefers long copywriting. Some like me would prefer short copywriting because, in my opinion, the way I look at this is this. I'm not selling on Facebook. What I'm doing here when I run ads, my sole purpose is to capture people's intention, or attention, at least attention and intention. And with that right intent, if I'm able to send the right message using the creative and a very short and crisp primary text, I should be able to get the right people to go to the next stage. Because I truly believe selling happens off Facebook, not on Facebook. Even if you are selling via Messenger also, it is still off the Facebook ad. You are not selling on the advertisement itself. So in my opinion, you want to make sure that your advertisement does the job in terms of delivering the message to really get what you want them to do. So the key message that I always focus on is, what is in for me? What do you want me to do? So clearly expressing the key benefit that you are bringing to the table is the first thing. And of course, you must be very clearly state what you want them to do. So that's my opinion. However, there are some friends. In fact, I work with a lot of digital agencies, as my coaching clients, and some of them actually prefer long copy, which we also see some interesting good results coming from the long copy, which means like long copy, I mean, for them, right? I mean, in fact, I agree as well. Long copy actually qualifies your audience, because for those people who don't even bother to really click and read, eventually you don't want them to come over. However, you also miss certain people who are not patient. I mean, like people who are impatient like me, are probably just pass. However, I'm not saying that long copy is not good, but you want to make sure that the first 2 lines at least, okay, is really to the point. So it's either to the point to get people to click the see more to read, or it's to the point to get people to understand what you want them to do. And eventually, even they don't read the whole copy, they will still make decision to click over if they want to. And on the other hand, if they want to click and read more, and eventually, that long copy is supposed to nurture your audience moving forward. However, one thing I noticed, I'm not sure you do, is Facebook is testing a lot of new ad placement nowadays. Now, definitely one thing that is coming up is the Reels, Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels advertisement placement, which it's like a Reels. Reels is like the vertical format of videos, right? It's gonna happen. It's gonna appear on the top right, which is a button that people can see, and usually it signifies the image itself. So from there, you are not able to really communicate all the key messages that you have, like your long copy and all that. So in that situation, I believe the visual itself will play a very important role, if you agree with me. Because if your visual if it's only visual, which is the single image appearing on the advertisement, I mean, long copy or whatnot, it doesn't matter anymore. It's irrelevant because people only look at the image. If it attracts them, then they will take action. If it doesn't, then of course not. In fact, it's not just the Facebook Reels or Instagram Reels. I also notice Facebook ads, like I think this happens in the watch page right now. I saw it the other day, and it's definitely happening in Instagram news feed as well, Instagram feed, where when you scroll, instead of like a full-fledged advertisement that looks like a post with this word sponsored at the bottom, they have new ad placement where it's like the scrollable. So in between image or in between videos, there will be like 2 to 3 ads. It's scrollable, which you can actually scroll to the right and see what are the other ads of remaining. I actually took action and took a look at all these things, and it's quite interesting if you ask me. So these are also placements that only signifies that particular image. So if your image doesn't really tell the story, or it gets truncated, then you miss the point. So moving forward, if you ask me, long copy or short copy is really depending on your preferences. But one thing I want to probably share with you is if you have long copy, and if you really want your long copy to do the job to actually qualify your audience and all that, right, I would suggest that you probably should consider using only feed kind of advertising, which you want to control it doesn't appear on other places, because eventually, as Facebook tests or Instagram tests different placements, it might kind of like turn your ad into something that is not relevant in terms of that. When it comes to that kind of placement, it doesn't work at all. So in terms of long copy or short copy, I guess still it's a personal preference. It's up to you. I'm not saying that which one is doing good or bad, but essentially I think moving forward, it is more on you got to really know your strategy, and you got to really place your ad at the right place. Okay, so that's for the long copy or short copy. I hope it actually makes some sense and probably helps you in terms of finding the different angle to look at this situation. Now, then basically, I want to also share a bit about my findings or what I learned from the community yesterday about Facebook ads creative design for 2022. As I mentioned just now, when it comes to Facebook advertising, Facebook moving forward, they will be testing a lot more different ad placement. Remember, the only sole purpose of Facebook as they exist, the only sole purpose of existence of Facebook and Instagram, on top of serving the community or whatnot, they crap, right? It's to make money. Definitely, they have to create a lot more different places to show ads. Because you have to always understand when it comes to Facebook advertising, if you talk about just mere the feed itself, right? They can only show that many ads as you scroll. Like, for example, 1 ad out of 8 posts or stuff like that. The moment they share that they actually put more ads, eventually you will feel annoyed and you will say, shit, Facebook is crappy. It shows me too many ads and I don't like it. So eventually there is a control. And in order to make sure that they can optimize their profit, what they might do moving forward, in my opinion, is they will actually create a lot more placement. That's the reason why they keep on pushing for reels. They could keep on pushing for stories. They keep on copying other people's what work on other platforms and on their own platform. They want to make it like, I have so many things that you can see, and I have so many places I can place advertisement. But as we move forward, as I shared just now, New placements are going to be a lot simpler, which, like for example, the Reels ad, if you have seen any, it's going to be an ad that happens in the Instagram or Facebook Reels, and it's going to appear on the top right. It's still in beta. I haven't seen it yet, but we already saw the kind of like the demo and stuff like that. It's going to be there, and it only signifies the single image itself, which is basically whether you have long copy or short copies, strong copy or weak copy, it's irrelevant, because as long as the image itself doesn't do the job, doesn't really get people attention and get them to know what you want them to do, it missed the point. Remember, when it comes to Facebook advertising, I have to remind you over and over again, you don't pay when people click. When you run ads on Facebook, you pay when your ad gets shown to the audience. So basically, it's really important that we have to make sure that every appearance count. So back to the design strategy I will take moving forward is I will probably go for more straightforward design, where you probably don't want to go, don't do something that beat around the bush. And you have to make sure that you want to optimize your creative if you are trying to optimize for all these new placements like Reels. And now if you notice, right, in between feed, right, in between videos, especially in the watch page, Facebook watch, and in between Instagram feed, Facebook is testing a kind of advertisement that's more like the scrollable kind of thing. It's not carousel. Carousel is essentially one ad, but multiple images. But it's multiple ads in a scrollable format, whereby I can see one ad, just the image and the main title of it, and another ad, and you can see 2 to 3 ads, just in the row itself. So that kind of advertisement is so simple that the image has to do the job. So if your image doesn't do the job, if your image is too wordy, for example, then people will be put off. And second thing is, if your image is if your text is too small, then it also defeat the purpose. You have to remember, as they go over to these places, the ad placement is going to be a lot smaller compared to now the feed ad that we are seeing right now. So when all these things happen, you got to make sure that you put a lot of work in terms of making your creative work for that kind of small piece of property. So moving forward, if you ask me what I might do is, I know one of my ad is definitely working very well, which is it's my ad that advertised for the Numbers That Matter workshop, which is, it's just like a dark background with dark blue background with a questions right in center, which is I asked how to analyze Facebook ads results. So basically, if you don't run ads, you won't be bothered. But if you run ads, you will definitely at least, oh, okay, what the hell is this thing? So I think if you ask me, the creative design strategy moving forward is you got to really go for simplicity, and the optimization would be, how do you capture the attention fast enough and deliver your key message over in the most effective way? So you have to think about this thing, because this is really the platform change, and also platform change will also result in the behavior change as well. So you have to make sure that all these things is kind of like ready. You have to make sure that you are ready for all these change that are coming. So that's my take when it comes to Facebook ads creative design for 2022. And moving forward, as we know, a lot of things is going to change, and they will definitely kind of like trying to optimize a lot of new placements like Reels and all that. So it's kind of exciting to observe. All right, so that's the Facebook ads design creative. Hope it's useful to you. Now, basically, I just want to sum it up. Based on what we learned just now, Facebook is rolling out a lot of new placements that are showing smaller images, like the Reels ad placement and the smaller scrollable ads in between, within the feed. And it's so simple. It's only the image and eventually the creative, what do we call the primary text? Sorry, not even the primary text, just the headline to appear. And so you have to make sure that your image really does the job in terms of pushing, the key message is really the most important part is you want to tell them what is in for them and what do you want them to do. It won't go wrong if you follow these two things. So basically, that's for me. If you ask me, moving forward, my ads design strategy is going to be like really focusing on the image itself, and copywriting become a little bit more secondary. So it's whether it's long copy or short copy, if you are allowing your ad to appear in all these new placements, you got to make sure that, you know, you have to pay a lot more attention on the image itself. So the copy, it may or may not show. But if you want a long copy, to really use the long copy to qualify your audience, which is something that a lot of advertisers are using, then you have to probably consider making sure that your ad only appears on the feed, as in like the Facebook feed and Instagram feed. So eventually, you know, you can get your message delivered across. So choosing platform or choosing placement becomes something very important. You got to be really aware about what are the placement available. So it's very simple. All you need to do is just go back to your ads manager. At the ad placement part under the ad set settings, you can go and mouse over each and every one of the ad set settings, or so-called the ad placement options available. It will show you the so-called the demo in a video format, so you know how it appears and eventually how does it look like and all this stuff, to make sure that you are choosing the right one. And in my opinion, moving forward, optimizing your creative for each placement is also quite important. That's why if you want to optimize, like for example, right, I don't usually allow my ads to appear on stories, because in my opinion, when it comes to stories, the percentage of people clicking on things, or the so-called intention of people clicking on things, may not be that high as versus to the, you know, like the feed. However, it actually gets a lot of impressions. That's the other thing. So if you want to make sure that your creative is optimized for each platform, I would say my take, in my opinion, at this point of time, being a person who always look for the simplest way to do things, I would still choose square images as of now. However, the other day when I was discussing with Mark, okay, he gave us a very good point where when you design, might as well you design using a slightly portrait mode, which is like 3 to 4. 3 to 4 works well in most, and of course you can actually use it to maximize for the medium part. And when you go square, it's gonna be good. When you go 3 to 4, it's gonna be good. And when you go into the story mode, it's gonna be like, of course, it doesn't look that bad, right? So something to ponder. Okay, so ads design and copywriting will be significantly changed in 2022 because of the new platforms and stuffs that will be introduced to us this year itself. However, like I said, there's no right or wrong. Eventually, if you are, you know, if you belong to the school of thoughts where you prefer the long copy, well, then you have to probably choose your placement a lot more effectively. Okay, now guys, if you have any questions, remember to post in the comment. I will be able to bring it up and answer your questions. And I have one question that I received on my YouTube channel. Now, Renee, I think, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Renee posted the questions on my video discussing about how to create lookalike audience from competitors' website. Okay, because basically this video I got asked by somebody, and my answer is you are not able to create lookalike audience from a competitor's website, because you won't be able to create a custom audience from a competitor's website. Now, if you want to create custom audience or a lookalike audience from a competitor's website, you can if you are able to place your pixel on their website, which is quite impossible, isn't it? So yeah, the answer is no. However, Renee also came back and said, how about custom audiences using specific URL option targeting the competitor's website? Well, Renee, the answer is no. It's really something that is impossible. So you have to think about this where, I mean, sometimes I understand, you know, there are certain situations where, you know, whoever visit their website will be something that I want. Might as well you use this as, I might as well you capitalize on Facebook's AI. Now, I believe you have seen something like this. Facebook advertising has evolved. All right. So what they are doing here is, in fact, although you won't be able to target your competitors' visitors. If you belong to the same industry, whenever a person visits your competitor's website, do you know that your ad will be shown to them? So the good news is you don't need to think about ways to target your competitors' visitors. Facebook is going to help you show your ads to your competitors' visitors. So it's very simple. You just have to make sure your advertisement is positioned in the correct way. And of course, detailed targeting may work or may not work sometimes, but I'm still a person who prefer to actually go slightly broader, so that you allow Facebook to really study. And as long as Facebook really understand your product and your page and your business, I believe you have seen it. Like the other day, I was visiting a car insurance website. Immediately, all the car insurance came to me with a very specific message where, oh, we have a better package from your car insurance. We cover this, we cover flood, we cover nonsense and all that. So eventually, Facebook is helping you to show your ads to your competitors' visitors in a nutshell. So don't worry about that. Let's not drill too much on trying to hack the world or whatnot, So let Facebook does its job. So you just have to make sure when you run ads. Now, one thing that I would actually kind of disagree is you don't run ads that is beating around the bush, that don't go straight to the point. Like some people loves Thailand. Thailand has this kind of so many funny videos, so creative, and like a whole damn video telling a story at the end of the day sells something that is totally irrelevant. um, I don't agree. Remember, when it comes to Facebook advertising, in my opinion, you have to go straight to the point. I don't have time to think, my friend. My attention span is only like super uber duper crazy short on Facebook and Instagram. I have so many things I want to see, and when I pay some attention to your ad, you want me to think, are you serious? So, in my opinion, that's what I think. So yeah, today we talk a lot about creative, right? So I think that's a very interesting topic where a lot of people need help in a way. So that's why I figured today we don't have a lot of questions. We only have Renee anyway. So might as well I address these few questions that has been asked a lot during my workshops and everything. And of course, it was also raised by some of my community members during my quarterly update yesterday. So yep. And I want to quickly go back to Casey's question, although she didn't come back. So I guess I would look at this, how will Facebook affect campaign objective moving forward? I would say, okay, my understanding is this. Do you mean the new Facebook ads objective lineup? Like for those who know it, Facebook ads objective, we used to have 11 objectives. Now, at this point of time, they are transiting things over. So you might see 11 objectives. You might see, you might see 6 objectives. Like under my portfolio, I have so many ads accounts. I think about 40% goes to the 6 objective one, and about 60% are still remaining with the 11 objectives. Now, what happened is Facebook is grouping objectives together and put them under more easier to be understandable so-called terminologies. Like they group messages, lead form and all this together under lead, and they group sales. Like for example, they group conversion, catalog sales, and messages under sales, which means if you want sales, then you have to go for that. So in fact, it actually created some confusion among people, where some people will get like, oh, seriously, now I don't understand sales. So well, what should I do? And in fact, right, once you selected the right thing, the moment you go into that, I would say 95% of the interfaces and everything remains unchanged. However, it also created some bug anyway. So when it first started, when one of my clients' account first switched over, a lot of stuff was really haywire. We had to report back to Facebook several times to say, hey, this is not right. We don't have this. We can't do this. We have this challenge and all that. So basically, that was what happened. However, based on my observation, if you are worried about whether, like, one of the most commonly asked questions here is, oh, will this new objective lineup affect the algorithm? Like, algorithm, right? Seriously, what algorithm do you refer to? There is no algorithm, basically. Facebook ads is already well programmed in a way that the moment you tell them what you want, they will find the people who might do what you want. So that's how the whole so-called algorithm works. So as long as you know how to choose the objective correctly, you won't go wrong. All right, that's what I think. Basically, everything starts from understanding what you really want. That's why, I hate to do this again, but eventually the most classic example is if you want people to go to your website and buy, and you bloody go and boost your post, of course, you won't be able to get the people who might do the same thing. And you will get a lot of junk likes or junk comments and all that. And you will say Facebook ads don't work because, well, it's actually your fault if you look at this, because you did not choose the right objective. So I hope that's what you mean, Casey, because you didn't come back and elaborate a little bit on your questions. But well, I hope I answered your questions. All right. So yeah, I think that's it. We don't have more questions coming up. Thank you so much. Yeah, so quite a number of you are watching still, right? Remember, we do this every Sunday night. If you have questions, drop me a message, leave me a comment on my YouTube or from my Facebook group, and I'll cover them on my AMA every Sunday night at 10 p.m. Malaysia time. So this will be available to watch on my YouTube channel and my Facebook group, and also going to be available on my podcast moving forward. So yeah, all right, don't forget to subscribe and give me 5-star rating on my podcast. I will be asking this all the time because, well, to be frank, I started podcast with a very open, not really specific intention, but now I think I really like the whole process because eventually it allows me to do more things that I couldn't really do using my live or my training sessions, because it could be really fast. And then when I have the idea, I'm just going to do it and all that, And currently, I'm writing a book with my podcast. Well, I'm going to just read it out to you as an episode, and I'm going to compile these episodes together as a book. And the book's name is called The Numbers That Matter, which essentially we're going to talk about Facebook ads, analytics, metrics, and numbers. So if you like these topics, remember to subscribe to my podcast on Apple or Spotify and give me 5-star rating. I don't care. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening and joining. And thanks. That's it. And I'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye.